In the last decade, we've seen more trans people than ever become visible in mainstream society. In movies, TV, books, politics, sports, everywhere. We've been here for a really long time, but we're finally seeing trans people get the recognition and representation we deserve. And with it comes broader understanding, acceptance, and a sense of community for trans people. But visibility also has its downsides. Some feel as awareness of trans people has grown, our community has become more of a target for discrimination. Today is Trans Day of Visibility, and I want to explore both sides of that, the good, the bad, and what visibility means for trans people. One of the most important things for any community is representation and role models. Having people you can look up to and feel inspired by in the world around you makes an enormous difference. I know for me personally, I felt pretty isolated growing up. That changed when I started seeing trans people in the media I consumed and meeting trans people in real life around me. It's thanks to other trans people being visible and standing up that I'm where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that. So for people who might be still in the closet or figuring it all out, trans visibility makes a huge difference. That said, with increased awareness of our community can come increased hostility too. And that's not to say there wasn't transphobia before, but in recent years, we've seen hysteria and misinformation lead to things like bathroom bills and discrimination against trans soldiers. Just last year here in Australia, we became a huge part of a smear campaign to stop marriage equality. To be clear, the marriage vote had almost nothing to do with trans identity. But trying to say same-sex couples didn't deserve equal rights was just a losing argument. So instead, we became the target, with transphobic ads, rampant misinformation in newspapers and online, and leaning heavily on harmful stereotypes. It kinda sucked. Thankfully, people saw through it and equality still overwhelmingly prevailed. But it did a lot of damage to our already vulnerable community along the way. The reality is, the more we're taken seriously by some people, the more others will spring up in opposition. Thankfully, even while we've seen hostility, we've also seen a surge in allyship and acceptance like never before. Having amazing allies means there are people who not only accept us, but actively fight alongside us and amplify our voices. We've seen trans inclusion enter the mainstream and a steady shift away from transphobic stereotypes and practices. Visibility has helped drive growing awareness and change for trans people and our rights throughout society. But discrimination isn't over and we still have a long way to go. Visibility and being seen and heard are really good things, make no mistake. As a community that's been chronically underrepresented and had our voices ignored, it's awesome to see that shifting. It's a great first step, but we still have work to do. Disparities in employment, mental health, physical health, medical support, homelessness, violence, legal rights, and so much more are still big things we need to tackle. So while visibility is a great starting point, we need to keep working toward a better world for everyone. It's also important in talking about visibility that the diversity of our community isn't forgotten. There are so many ways to be trans and so many things that intersect with trans identity. As much as trans visibility is increasing, it's still way less common than it should be. So sometimes what ends up being represented can be limited. It's important that representation isn't only straight, white, well-passing, binary, able-bodied people. Those are definitely a part of our community, but they're also only one part of a sprawling and diverse group. People who don't pass or don't have surgery, who are non-binary, a person of color, or disabled, are just a few parts of our community that deserve just as much of a platform as any other. I think for me, for a lot of trans people, community is really one of the most important things. When I feel tired and worn out, when transphobia just becomes this loud, blaring thing I feel like I can't get away from, turning to my trans friends, trans people I look up to, and the community at large is so healing and so important. So while visibility has its upsides and downsides, all in all, I love the sense of community it gives me and I'm so grateful for that. Trans people deserve a society where visibility isn't even a question or something to think about. But until then, it's important that we keep working towards that. And I want to wish every trans person watching this an amazing Trans Day of Visibility. You're awesome and I love you. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video and found it useful, share it around. And please consider supporting the creation of more videos like this one. Your support makes a huge difference. If I use any terms in this video that you're not familiar with, check out this link. Thanks for watching.